No, I was a lifelong athlete, and I guess I always was gravitating towards the combat sports, hand-to-hand fighting, or always loved wrestling. Boxing is a very sophisticated audience compared to MMA, and a big fight card like Manny and Oscar, Manny and anybody now is going to be, even Antonio Margarito and Miguel Cotto, any of these guys, the vibe in the room is outstanding, and it's just, you're not getting that in the usual UFC kind of, at Mandalay, or it's a little bit more.
I think it goes back to the same point that you made. I mean, I agree, it's a level of competition,
Mm-hmm.
It's like when you have a more level playing field, more,
Mm-hmm.
more matches and more, more competitiveness versus, hey, the elite and they're fighting and,
Mm-hmm.
and it's, a mega fight maybe, 4 or 5 times a year, if that,
Mm-hmm.
so, that's the mega fight of 2010, Manny. You said it yourself,
Mm-hmm.
Manny Pacquiao,
Mm-hmm.
and Floyd Mayweather.
Yeah.
Holy dickens!
That's like exciting, absolutely exciting. Yeah, but I mean, when somebody says that boxing is going downhill and that MMA and the UFC really is the only brand in the U.S. that has that market share, they aren't understanding that in certain, like in the Latino Mexican American population, they're still watching boxing. They're still behind boxing. That's why you got Tecate as a sponsor. That's why they're coming out to do these things. They know who their audience is. There's not, and Dana went down to Mexico to try and get a fight down in Mexico City. He wasn't successful in pulling it off. I mean, that's why the WEC is signing a lot more Latino fighters. They want the lightweights in there to start developing them. But it's about the young guys coming out and doing the wrestling and developing their skills for MMA and being able to compete with the lightweight Brazilians and the Japanese.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, I think that we're seeing not necessarily this, but with boxing and MMA, but we're seeing maybe just a peak right now with Pacquiao and Mayweather, and then maybe maybe things kind of stagnating with the UFC. I'm sure some others would disagree, but let's talk about that fight. I mean, you got to pick a winner. I mean, can I put you on the spot?
I know.
I
know.
mean,
when I first met Manny, it was 2007, early 2007, and he was just a darling man. He was really special, and I watched him train at Wild Card, and he's just flawless. It's beautiful to watch him. You can tell. You've been around a long time. You watch somebody on a speed bag, and it's a work of art, and it's beautiful, and you just watch them like you're seeing a ballet. I mean, it's breathtaking. But I'm and it's pretty rare for me, but I think I'm gonna go with Floyd for this fight.
Mm-hmm.
I just think he's heavier, and he's gonna give him the slight advantage. He's older, but I don't think he's lost that much with his age.
the ring rest.
I mean, when he was against Marquez, you feel bad for Marquez because he's so tiny, compared to Floyd. That whole thing, that drama with the catch weight and all the people being mad and everything.
Well, and that's what a lot of people talked about. Maybe he'll come in a little bit heavier and just, pay $1 million a pound or something, just so he can have even more of an advantage.
Can you imagine? I'll eat this cookie. I can afford it.
It's I mean, what I've been told is like the last few pounds are really like, the ones, and again, we'll see. I mean, aside from that, you've got Berto, the young cat, and then Mosley, the old cat. I mean, that's going to be in actually Las Vegas, and that's like right around the corner. Do you like either one of those guys, or like,
I'm not actually going to that fight, so it's kind of sad. I'm bummed out about that. I haven't. I'd hate to say something without having taken a look at it.
Yeah.
I haven't watched them train, and when you watch someone train, you can see it in them. You can see it in their pace and everything. You just you get a vibe out of their whole. When somebody's ready. There's a level of intensity. I remember sitting down at my media seat for the Oscar de la Hoya Manny Pacquiao fight, and I was next to guys from Clear Channel and a couple of other reporters. It was a mosh pit of press, as you can well imagine. And people were like, "Who's going to win?" And I said, "Manny." And they all laughed at me, and they were like, "Stupid girl," and all this, And then the Manny won, and they were like, But I had sat in the media days, and I had watched them train and everything, and you can just see like a transition inside of somebody and who's ready to devour the other person or not. But like with Antonio Margarito, what a thrill it was to watch him train and spar and to go jogging with him and everything. He looked brilliant. I didn't see him losing his last fight, you know, to Sugar Shane Mosley, and I also didn't see the whole plaster in the wraps thing coming. Just can't believe still that he got away with that. And I think he had that in his wraps for Miguel Cotto. Because I asked,
Cintron, I mean,
yeah,
you know, it could have been a lot
like
of
how
big
did he
fights.
get away with it? You know, I mean,
Well,
but
you know.
but I talked to Danny Romero Jr. and Sr. in Albuquerque, and they were saying that they saw Miguel Cotto down in Mexico City 3 weeks after his fight with Margarito, and that his face was still a mess, and so that you would judge by that there must have been something in there because. Yeah, he took a beating. Miguel took a beating from
It's a
him.
shame, you know, like one part of me is like, you know, I remember that Cotto fight and with him, and it was just like so extraordinary, and I don't know, did you hang out with him before or after that, or like?
Yeah, it was a pretty exciting night in Vegas that night. The arena was electric. Were you at the fight?
No, I was not.
It was
but,
off
I
the
mean,
hook,
but like
man.
people
I mean-
were bouncing off my couch and stuff. The thing is that I feel like now though it's like, you know, it's kind of like an empty thing. Like I
Yeah.
really want to see them fight again though.
Margarito
Yeah.
Cotto?
Mhm.
Well, it's this wonderful matchup between a Puerto Rican and a Mexican. That is, it's like Ireland playing Britain, or you know, in soccer, or Ireland playing Italy.
Yeah.
There's just these great sports rivalries. You know, it's like Army Navy or something. That's a great rivalry, Puerto Rico and Mexico. Whenever you have like Oscar De La Hoya when he fought Trinidad. Okay, like that was Puerto Rico versus Mexican American, but it
Right.
still got the core audiences behind them and being able to have that clash, and it provided that excitement in the arena that was just absolutely contagious. It was pretty exciting.
You know what? There's so much good fights. We saw some good fights tonight on the, you know, not going to say amateur level, but on the, you know, the new pro level, and some guys. And it was exciting. You know, one of the, you know, I was standing behind some girls, and they said, you know, this girl fight, this is kind of boring. And then all of a sudden it got all hot. You know what I mean? Remember that? So,
What is it with guys and girls fighting? They love it.
well, you know, it's like, hey, you know. So, but you know, I'm thank goodness that we bumped into this gal, because it's, again, she's not the typical, you know, gal who's, you know, just, you know, with her boyfriend hanging out on the sidelines, right? So thanks so much for your insight, and so much luck and everything to the movie
Thank you.
and all your endeavors, and
Thank you.
and we'll talk again soon, and we'll see you at the fights, I guess, huh?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay.
Thank you.
And Marie Lynch.